Have you ever wondered what really happens behind the glittering facade of the British royal family? The flawless photographs, the lavish banquets, the perfect smiles in front of the cameras. Could they be hiding a very different truth? A star-studded party with no real stars, whispers of hypocrisy, or a royal marriage quietly falling apart? Today, we're peeling back the layers of glamour to uncover the untold truths surrounding Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, and Prince Andrew. Three names that have Buckingham Palace holding its breath. After stepping away from royal life, Meghan Markle entered Hollywood with one goal: to reclaim control of her own story. She signed a multi-million-dollar deal with Netflix, launched a podcast, graced the covers of major fashion magazines, and declared herself an icon of the independent woman. Yet alongside this empowering image, the public began to notice growing contradictions between what she says and what she does, between her message of female empowerment and the strategic, sometimes opportunistic relationships she builds within the entertainment world. Meanwhile, Prince Harry, once the world's favorite royal, now seems to be struggling with his own identity in Hollywood, a place where the lights never go out, but the fame fades fast. And finally, Prince Andrew, a man engulfed by scandal, remains the dark shadow hovering over the royal family, forcing the monarchy to face uncomfortable questions about morality, dignity, and accountability. So what do you think? Is Meghan Markle truly the voice of empowerment she claims to be, or just a carefully managed brand built to rescue a fading reputation? And has Prince Harry lost himself in the relentless game of celebrity and media manipulation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Over the next 35 minutes, we'll pull back the royal curtain layer by layer to see what's really happening behind the palace walls. And first, let's begin with a recent event in Los Angeles, one that was meant to be glamorous, but ended up being anything but. Los Angeles, a night drenched in lights and camera flashes. Celebrities, entrepreneurs, and entertainment figures gathered at an event dubbed a celebration of America's most powerful women. The media called it an evening of inspiration. But when Meghan Markle walked into the room, the most striking reaction wasn't applause. It was silence. She wore a black fitted dress, elegant, polished, but somewhat stiff. The cameras flashed in waves, yet few seemed eager to turn their heads. Later, People magazine published photos from the event, and instead of glowing reviews, the internet responded with a biting remark: a star-studded night with no real stars. Then came the moment that set social media on fire. Meghan smiling politely as her close friend, Emma Grady, gestured mid-conversation, her hand coming within inches of Meghan's face. The cameras caught it perfectly, a flicker of discomfort, followed by a tight, polite smile. Within hours, the clip went viral. Some praised Meghan for keeping her composure. Others accused her of acting for the cameras. A few even named the video the almost touch between two powerful women, colder than ice. Commentators began dissecting the moment. Was it just an accident, or a hint that the friendship between Meghan and Emma wasn't as warm as it once appeared? Leading British tabloids, including the Daily Mail and the Mirror, described the event as a clumsy performance in Meghan's ongoing attempt to rebuild her Hollywood image. She showed up, yes, but she didn't shine. Most of the other guests, mainly young entrepreneurs and startup founders, didn't seem particularly keen to pose beside her for photos. It was a sharp contrast to her royal days, when every outfit she wore and every step she took could dominate global headlines. In Los Angeles that night, however, Meghan's presence drew more murmurs than admiration. Ironically, the true spotlight of the evening fell not on Meghan, but on Emma Grady, the British-born fashion entrepreneur standing beside her in nearly every photograph. Emma, co-founder of the Good American brand with Khloe Kardashian, is known as one of the most influential women in fashion. Yet this time, the attention wasn't about her business success. It was about her new royal-linked role, ambassador for the King's Foundation, an organization personally endorsed by King Charles III. When the appointment was announced, public reaction in the UK was fierce. Some hailed the king's choice as a sign of progress, a woman of color representing a modernized monarchy, but others were outraged. Among them, veteran royal communications advisor Nancy Sidley publicly questioned, why would someone so close to Meghan Markle, who has openly criticized the royal family, be chosen as an ambassador for the king's own foundation? Nancy called it a strategic blunder, even a slap in the face to those who still believe in the monarchy's traditional values. Several reports suggested that Emma's friendship with Meghan could make the king's foundation appear compromised, even manipulated, by a behind-the-scenes PR network trying to soften public criticism toward Meghan. In the end, this Hollywood royal night revealed more than just fashion and smiles. It exposed how every move, every friendship, and every appearance has become a political act in the modern monarchy, and how Meghan Markle, more than anyone, continues to walk the razor's edge between influence and controversy. On social media, the hashtag Emma and Meghan quickly began trending. Many compared Emma to previous royal ambassadors, global icons with genuine influence, like Taylor Swift or Lady Gaga, who once lent their names to philanthropic causes. And they asked the obvious question, why not choose someone with true international standing and far less controversy? The debate only intensified when royal commentators discovered that at the Los Angeles event, Meghan wasn't just appearing alongside Emma Grady, she was also seen mingling with several familiar faces, individuals who had previously worked with her old Netflix communications team. That detail sparked a wave of speculation. Was this gathering actually a carefully staged comeback? A calculated attempt to position Meghan back into America's elite circles, close enough to the royal brand to stay relevant, but distant enough to avoid direct scrutiny? Looking deeper, many media analysts agree this is a familiar move for Meghan Markle. Ever since leaving the palace, she has worked tirelessly to shape an image of a modern, independent woman, yet one still tethered to royal symbolism. From her choice of friends, business partnerships, even down to her wardrobe, every decision reinforces a single narrative. Meghan doesn't need a royal title to remain the center of attention. But the reality hasn't lived up to the strategy. Her post-royal projects, from the Netflix docuseries Harry and Meghan to the Archetypes podcast and her glossy Vogue appearances, have all received mixed reactions. Critics argue that while she often speaks about empowering women, her messaging feels disconnected from the real world, polished, privileged, and far removed from the lives of the women she claims to represent. The Los Angeles Gala seemed to be a perfect reflection of that contradiction. Meghan tried to project warmth and authenticity, yet every glance, gesture, and interaction felt overly choreographed. As one Vanity Fair columnist wrote, Meghan doesn't need to speak because everything she does already feels like a performance, directed by herself. Meanwhile, Prince Harry, who usually joins her at high-profile events, was noticeably absent that night. His absence led many to believe Meghan wanted to prove she could shine on her own. But if this was meant to be a statement of independence, it might have backfired. Viewers didn't see a confident woman reclaiming her voice. They saw a celebrity trying a little too hard to stay in the spotlight. Some U.S. outlets went even further, suggesting that Meghan is following a Hollywood royalty model, using her PR network and social circle to create the illusion of influence, rather than building it through genuine substance. The evidence, they argue, lies in the company she keeps. Her closest allies, like Emma Greda, aren't social reformers or activists, but media entrepreneurs who know how to manage perception, not drive change. And that raises a bigger question. Is Meghan truly fighting for what she believes in, or simply fighting to remain relevant in Hollywood? Her alliances with powerful yet polarizing figures like Emma Grady may help her sustain visibility, but they also risk eroding the very authenticity that once made her story compelling. A New York-based PR strategist summed it up perfectly. Meghan understands the game. She knows one viral photo, one headline, one perfectly timed event can keep her in the conversation. But when everything feels too calculated, the audience stops believing and empathy fades. In the end, the Los Angeles party wasn't just another glamorous evening. It was a test of Meghan Markle's reinvention strategy, and judging by the public's lukewarm reaction, the results may not have been what she hoped for, as those glossy event photos are now replaced by fresher headlines and newer faces. One can't help but wonder, is Meghan slowly becoming an outsider in the very world she once fought so hard to conquer? Before we move on, let me ask you this. Should Emma Grady remain an ambassador for the King's Foundation? Or should the monarchy seek someone more neutral, more deserving of that position? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Because from the bright lights of Los Angeles, Meghan's story doesn't end with image and appearances. It stretches into the deeply personal, her role as a mother, a wife, and a woman who once said, "Everything I do is for my family." But behind the curtain, is that really true? We'll find out in the next part. Since stepping away from the British royal family, Meghan Markle has always insisted that her top priority is her little family, Harry, Archie, and Lilibet. In countless interviews, she's emphasized her desire to be a mother in a free environment, one without the rigid rules of the palace, a space where she could raise her children in her own way. But as time goes on, the picture of a devoted mother that Meghan has so carefully built is increasingly being met with skepticism. Western media outlets have repeatedly asked the same question. Is Meghan truly a hands-on mother, or simply someone who knows how to use motherhood as a powerful public image? Former staff members at her Montecito home have revealed that Meghan employs a rotating team of nannies working around the clock, each with a specialized role, one for sleep training, one managing daily schedules, another accompanying the children during outings. An anonymous former employee told The Times, "She's the kind of mother who directs others to care for her children, not the kind who does it herself." Of course, in Hollywood's elite circles, having a team of nannies isn't unusual. But in Meghan's case, the contradiction lies in her words. She often claims she wants to raise her children herself, that every decision she makes is for her family. Yet reports from Page 6 in the Mirror have pointed out a clear inconsistency between what she says and what she does. Meghan frequently appears at social events, brand campaigns, conferences, and podcast recordings, while her children are rarely seen in public with her. This inconsistency became even more visible when Meghan began crafting her image as a mummy influencer, the modern, elegant, inspirational mother. Across media platforms, she shared stories about teaching her children kindness, cooking family dinners with Harry, and reading bedtime stories to Archie and Lilibet. But as many observers noticed, these moments were always presented through a polished, cinematic lens, scripted, staged, and strategically released. One commentator even quipped, "Meghan isn't just a mother to her two children, she's also the mother of her own brand." In truth, there's nothing wrong with Meghan sharing picture-perfect family moments. But when you compare them to her earlier criticisms of the royal family, accusing them of denying her freedom to parent at Mahadum, the public can't help but wonder, was she truly trying to protect her children from media intrusion, or simply trying to control the narrative in her favor? From motherhood, the story shifts to something far more sensitive, the accusations of hypocrisy. Meghan shocked the world in her 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey, claiming that someone within the royal family expressed concerns about the skin color of her unborn son. Archie, she also revealed she had felt suicidal and received no help from the institution. The revelations caused a global firestorm, severely damaging the public image of King Charles and Prince William. And yet, just a few years later, Meghan has been seen standing alongside individuals with close ties to the very monarchy she once condemned. The most striking example is Emma Grady, the British businesswoman, Meghan's close friend, and now ambassador for the King's Foundation, an organization directly endorsed by King Charles III. Commentators have dubbed this the Meghan paradox. The woman who once said she could never return to that world now appears perfectly comfortable mingling within its outer circle. This apparent shift has led many to believe that Meghan is actively softening her image, recasting herself not as the rebel against the crown, but as the woman ready to reconcile. However, numerous media analysts argue that this isn't an emotional transformation, but a calculated social strategy. As The Telegraph put it, when Meghan realized that the victim narrative no longer resonated with the public, she reinvented herself as the woman who forgives. And behind that shift, one name quietly reappears: Idris Elba. The acclaimed British actor, who famously DJ'd at Meghan and Harry's royal wedding, is said to have introduced Meghan to Emma Grady years ago. Elba, now a respected figure with connections across both entertainment and philanthropy, is believed to have been the bridge, helping Meghan reconnect with circles that straddle both Hollywood and the monarchy. In other words, what looks like a natural path to forgiveness might actually be a carefully mapped out route, one that keeps Meghan Markle precisely where she wants to be, close enough to royalty to remain relevant, and far enough to play by her own rules. It was Idris Elba who first introduced the two women at a charity event in London years ago. From that moment, Emma Grady became part of Meghan's expanding inner circle, a network that many journalists now call the Hollywood Monarchy. Though these relationships are often presented as personal friendships, nearly everyone in that circle holds some form of influence in media, fashion, or politics, helping Meghan maintain her relevance among America's elite. Ironically, when Emma Grady was appointed ambassador for the King's Foundation, Meghan did not object. On the contrary, she appeared alongside Emma at several Los Angeles events. To the British public, that was a moment of contradiction, even hypocrisy. How could a woman who once accused the royal family of being cold and racist now seem so comfortable aligning herself, indirectly, with the very institution she condemned? Several media strategists believe Meghan is attempting to rebrand her image, to re-enter royal circles, but this time under a different title: the modern representative of a new generation, unbound by tradition. She doesn't need to return to the royal family. She just needs to prove she's still close enough to matter. Yet, in the public eye, that creates a striking paradox. She left for freedom, but keeps finding her way back through another door. This contradiction in Meghan's behavior is impossible to ignore. She claims not to care about fame, yet she continues to appear at media-heavy events, places carefully chosen to guarantee headlines. She insists on protecting her family's privacy, yet she's the one revealing private details in documentaries, interviews, and podcasts. A Vanity Fair columnist once wrote, "Meghan is a master of the half-truth narrative. She can turn any occasion into a symbol, but the more she does it, the more the audience feels manipulated." Indeed, nearly everything she does, from befriending people connected to the monarchy to showing up at PR-friendly gatherings, carries the fingerprints of strategy, not sincerity. Even many of her former supporters have begun to waver. They once admired Meghan for standing up to prejudice and walking away from royal privilege to protect her mental health. But now, seeing her photographed beside Emma Grady, the new face of the King's Foundation, they're asking, does Meghan still believe in what she once said? Or is she simply using every opportunity to keep the spotlight from fading? From a sociological point of view, Meghan's actions can be seen as an attempt to adapt. After years of criticism, she may have realized that the public no longer wants to hear about pain. They want to see growth, redemption, and forgiveness. Yet in the media world, the line between genuine change and image manipulation is razor thin, and Meghan, with her unrivaled ability to control a narrative, seems to walk that line every single day. One final question remains: if Meghan truly wants reconciliation, why not stay silent? Why does every act of forgiveness come wrapped in a media campaign, a glossy photo shoot, or a meticulously edited video? Perhaps the answer is simple. Meghan doesn't just want to be forgiven, she wants to be seen being forgiven. And that, as some critics have put it, is the very essence of modern hypocrisy, where even good deeds must be performed under the spotlight. Before we move on, let me ask you this. Do you think Meghan is genuinely trying to soften her image to reconnect with the royal family? Or is this just another calculated move to reclaim the limelight? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's turn our attention away from Meghan and focus on the man who has always stood behind her, Prince Harry. Once a confident young officer in the British Army, with fiery red hair, an easy grin, and a soldier's poise, he now appears quieter, thinner, and visibly tired under Hollywood's relentless gaze. Perhaps never before has the prince, once adored by millions, faced such personal pressure, from his appearance and his marriage, to his uncertain place in a world where the cameras never stop watching. According to Radar Online, insiders have revealed that Prince Harry is struggling with an obsession over his hair loss, something he once joked was simply a family trait. Back in his army days, it never really bothered him, but since moving to the United States and living in the heart of Hollywood, where appearance is everything, Harry has reportedly become increasingly self-conscious. A source told journalist Rob Shooter that Harry often stares at himself in the mirror, sometimes getting frustrated at how different he looks compared to just a few years ago. The reports suggest that Harry has begun using hair loss treatments like finasteride and minoxidil, and may even be considering a hair transplant, a procedure many male celebrities in Hollywood quietly opt for. Yet that choice comes with another layer of pressure. While the treatments can work, they also carry serious side effects: hormonal imbalance, loss of libido, even impotence. For a man once seen as the embodiment of royal masculinity, this isn't just a cosmetic issue, it's a blow to his pride. American media commentators have noted that Harry appears deeply affected by his new environment, a world where image equals worth. Hollywood, they say, leaves no room for simplicity. Every wrinkle, every strand of thinning hairs can turn into a headline. And the more Harry tries to adapt, the more he seems to realize that he cannot escape his royal shadow, a time when he was seen as the natural hero, not an actor in a PR script. Those who have met Harry recently describe him as quieter, even uneasy at public events. At one ceremony in Santa Barbara, cameras caught him standing apart while Meghan chatted animatedly with other guests. That photo went viral and quickly fueled growing speculation that the couple's marriage was cooling off. Sources from Radar Online and OK magazine both report that Harry and Meghan's relationship has endured months of strain, particularly since the birth of their second child, Lilibet. One longtime friend of the couple told reporters they still show up together when they need to, but privately, they live almost separate lives. They talk to each other more like colleagues than spouses. Others even claimed there's virtually no physical intimacy left between them. Psychologists suggest that the root of their tension lies in a shift of power. When Harry left the royal family, he believed he was stepping into freedom. But in reality, he entered a different kind of cage, the competitive, image-obsessed world of Hollywood. Meghan thrives there. She expands her network, appears on magazine covers, produces podcasts, and remains ever present in the media. Harry, by contrast, has withdrawn. He's worked on a few smaller projects, like the Netflix documentary Heart of Invictus, a series about military veterans, but it failed to make much impact. As one observer noted, Harry was once inspiring because of his honesty and courage, but in Hollywood, those traits are not enough. Here, people demand perfection, and that's something Harry never wanted to fake. Many now believe that Harry feels suffocated in a marriage built on the illusion of perfection. Meghan knows how to command the spotlight. She chooses the right outfit, the right moment, the right soundbite. Harry, on the other hand, is driven by emotion, raw, genuine, and sometimes unfiltered. When those two worlds collide, the cracks inevitably show. A former London friend told the Daily Express he's always needed to feel understood, to have someone to lean on, but in America, he has no one except Meghan. And when she's busy, he looks completely lost. That comment captures the loneliness many now see in Harry, a man who once belonged to one of the most famous families in the world, now living in a California mansion yet missing the sense of belonging he once took for granted. The comparisons with Prince William only deepen the contrast. While William appears increasingly confident alongside Princess Catherine, admired globally for her grace and stability. Harry faces headlines about marital tension, financial stress, and a fading public image. British media analysts put it bluntly, Harry traded power for freedom, but it seems he wasn't prepared for the price. One final observation highlights their fundamental difference in outlook. For William, reputation is something earned through duty. For Harry, reputation is something defended through publicity, and that, perhaps, is the saddest twist of all, because in trying to protect his image, Harry has stopped fighting for what once defined him: purpose, authenticity, and peace. According to Radar Online, sources close to Prince Harry say he has even turned to meditation, yoga, and various forms of therapy in an effort to manage his growing anxiety. But despite his efforts, he reportedly still struggles with insomnia, often waking from dreams about his army days, a time when he felt a clear sense of purpose. In one interview, Harry admitted, "I don't regret leaving, but sometimes I miss the feeling of doing something that truly mattered." A simple statement, yet one that quietly reveals the emptiness inside. Hollywood hasn't just changed Harry's appearance, it's eroded his spirit. His growing obsession with how he looks on camera has trapped him in the very cycle he once tried to escape. Every public appearance now requires precision: neatly styled hair, carefully groomed skin, a polished demeanor, and always by Meghan's side, who, as the camera suggests, never seems to tire, never falters. A Los Angeles psychologist observed, "When a man starts to measure his self-worth through the eyes of others, he's no longer free, no matter where he lives." And perhaps that's what truly separates Harry from his brother. Prince William was born to rule, trained to withstand pressure, and remain silent. Harry, on the other hand, was born to feel, to speak, to connect, to live through emotion. That difference, once his strength, now makes him fragile in a world that demands polished mess and curated perfection. Still, it's impossible to deny that Harry remains a man with a strong heart. He founded the Invictus Games to support wounded veterans, faced the loss of his mother at just 12 years old, and once had the courage to give up everything for love. But today, I'd say, that very love seems to have placed him in a quiet conflict between two worlds. One, the royal duty he abandoned. The other, the glittering illusion of Hollywood that never sleeps. Many fans still hold out hope that Harry can find himself again, not as Meghan Markle's husband or the former rebellious prince, but as a man who accepts who he truly is, even as the red fades from his hair. Because what made the world fall in love with him in the first place was never perfection. It was authenticity. In the end, Harry's story isn't just about a man losing his hair. It's about a man slowly losing faith in himself, trapped between fame's expectations and his own quiet longing for meaning. And when Hollywood's lights shine too brightly, even a prince can feel lost. Before we close this chapter, let me ask you, do you think Harry is under too much pressure to maintain his image in Hollywood? Or is this simply the price of choosing freedom? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Because up next, we turn to a darker, more unsettling story, what many call the deepest stain in modern royal history. From Harry's personal struggles, we shift to the man who has brought unprecedented shame to the House of Windsor, Prince Andrew. In the long history of the British monarchy, few periods have tested the Windsor legacy quite like this one. As King Charles III works to consolidate his reign, the lingering shadows of his brother, Prince Andrew, Duke of York, once again threatened to engulf the royal image. The scandal surrounding Andrew is not just a personal disgrace. It is a fracture in the moral foundation the monarchy has long fought to preserve. And now one question looms large. Has the time come to strip him of his royal title completely, as a means of protecting what's left of the crown's honor? The story begins with Prince Andrew's relationship with the late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, a man accused of exploiting and trafficking dozens of underage girls. Epstein died in prison in 2019, but the echoes of his crimes continue to haunt those connected to him, including Andrew. A trove of leaked emails and photographs has shown the prince attending Epstein's private gatherings and maintaining close ties with Virginia Giuffre, the woman who claims she was forced into sexual encounters with Andrew when she was just 17. Although Prince Andrew has always denied the allegations, in 2022 he was forced to reach a civil settlement with Virginia Giuffre, reportedly worth more than £12 million, to end her lawsuit in the United States. The deal not only destroyed what remained of his reputation, but also plunged the British royal family into a storm of public outrage. Many Britons expressed anger that their tax money might have been used, indirectly, to buy silence and bury a royal scandal. The breaking point came when King Charles III and Prince William jointly agreed that Andrew must permanently withdraw from all public duties. In the same year, Buckingham Palace announced that Andrew had been stripped of all his military titles and could no longer use the style His Royal Highness. Yet he was still allowed to keep his most prestigious honor, the Duke of York, one of the oldest and most symbolic titles in royal history. And now that very title has become the focus of fierce debate. According to reports from the Times and the Telegraph, King Charles is seriously considering removing the Duke of York title from his brother, following a new wave of damaging revelations. Recently disclosed emails between Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein reveal a level of familiarity far deeper than Andrew had ever admitted. Meanwhile, Virginia Giuffre's upcoming memoir, set to be released next year, is said to contain explosive new details, including the names of individuals who allegedly tried to help Andrew avoid legal consequences. For the British public, patience has run out. On forums and across the press, most opinions echo the same sentiment. Allowing Andrew to retain the title Duke of York is an insult to the people of Yorkshire, who once took pride in that name. A YouGov poll found that over 70% of Britons support removing his title entirely, while only 8% believe he should be allowed to keep it out of family loyalty. However, stripping a royal title is not a simple matter. Under British constitutional law, it requires the formal consent of both Parliament and the King, meaning Charles himself would have to sign an official decree. Even so, insiders say Prince William has privately voiced strong support for the move, seeing it as essential to restore the monarchy's integrity, particularly as he prepares for his future role as king. What makes the situation even more complicated is that Andrew's downfall could have ripple effects for Harry and Meghan. As public debate intensifies around the idea of removing titles to protect royal honor, many are asking if Andrew can lose his title over moral disgrace. Why do Harry and Meghan, who publicly criticize the royal family on television, still hold theirs? The Duke and Duchess of Sussex? This is the dilemma Buckingham Palace now faces. Andrew's case is rooted in legal and ethical failure, a clear scandal. Harry and Meghan's, by contrast, falls into the realm of politics and public image. They've broken no laws, but their words have inflicted deep wounds on the institution's credibility. In their Netflix series Harry and Meghan and the Oprah interview, they implied that the royal family harbored racial bias, severely damaging the reputations of both King Charles and Prince William. British media analysts suggest that King Charles now faces two equally risky options. If he strips Andrew of his title, it will win public approval. But if he goes further and targets Harry and Meghan, the monarchy could be accused of suppressing personal freedom. If he does nothing, the royal family risks appearing weak and inconsistent, punishing the silent and Andrew, while tolerating the outspoken, Harry and Meghan. That's why many observers believe the Andrew case will serve as a test of strategy for the reign of Charles III. If the public responds positively to removing the Duke of York title, the next step could be a reassessment of the Sussex's royal status, especially as Prince William pushes forward with his vision of a slimmed-down monarchy, one that keeps only those actively serving the crown. The comparison between Andrew and Harry and Meghan reveals two very different crises of image. For Andrew, it's a collapse of morality, the betrayal of public trust. For Harry and Meghan, it's a breach of loyalty, a fracture in the royal family's unity, but both, in their own ways, have cost the monarchy its most precious asset, respect. If Andrew does lose his title, it will mark the final chapter of his public life. From a prince once eighth in line to the throne, He now lives in quiet isolation at Royal Lodge, rarely seen in public. Sources say he still requests permission to attend royal events, but is routinely denied. As one close friend told the Mirror, Andrew still believes he can come back. But the truth is, no one inside the royal family wants to see him in public again. That stance reflects King Charles's resolve. No one, not even those within the family, is above the duty to protect the crown. While some see his actions as cold and ruthless, others believe this is the only way the monarchy can survive in the 21st century, an age that demands transparency and accountability over blind tradition. Yet the question remains, will stripping royal titles truly restore honor? Or is it merely cutting off the rot to save the tree? After all, the image of the monarchy isn't sustained by titles or medals. It's built on public trust, a trust now eroding from within the Windsor name itself. Looking at the bigger picture, the Andrew scandal, the rift with Harry and Meghan, and the relentless media pressure on King Charles all point to one undeniable truth. The royal family is struggling to adapt to a new world, a world where dignity is not earned through ceremony or bloodline, but through authenticity and responsibility. And perhaps, painful as it may be, stripping Andrew's title is inevitable. It's not just a punishment, it's a message to him and to every royal who follows, that titles cannot protect honor if the person wearing them no longer deserves it. Before we end, let me ask you, do you support removing Prince Andrew's title, or even those of Harry and Meghan, as a way to protect the monarchy's image? Or do you believe such actions are merely symbolic, further dividing an already fractured royal family? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Because after walking through all these royal dramas, from Meghan to Harry to Andrew, perhaps it's time we pause and ask ourselves, between fame and honor, what truly remains? Over the past 35 minutes, we've explored the figures shaking the foundations of the British monarchy: Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, and Prince Andrew, each with a story, a flaw, a shadow, yet together revealing one common struggle: a royal family fighting to stay balanced between tradition and modernity. We began with Meghan Markle, once hailed as the fresh, modern face of the monarchy. Her reappearance at a Los Angeles gala alongside Emma Grady perfectly captured her image strategy: glamorous, calculated, always at the center of the frame. But behind the flashbulbs came controversy, from her friendship with Emma to Grady's appointment as ambassador for the King's Foundation, which critics called a conflict of loyalty. While it left many wondering, is Meghan rebuilding her reputation or simply reshaping it through her connections? Then came the image Meghan loves to project: the devoted, inspirational mother. Yet testimonies from former staff paint a more complex portrait: a woman so focused on managing her media projects that hands-on motherhood often took a back seat. Between those two versions, who is the real Meghan, the nurturing parent, or the strategist behind a personal brand? While Meghan fights to preserve her spotlight, Prince Harry, once the world's favorite royal rebel, seems weighed down by quieter pressures. His hair loss, his rumored use of restoration treatments, even talk of transplants, are just surface details. Beneath them lies something deeper: the identity crisis of a man once seen as a symbol of freedom, now living under Hollywood's relentless spotlight, where every smile feels staged. And amid it all, whispers persist that his marriage with Meghan has grown cool, that they now live more like colleagues than partners. And finally, up on Prince Andrew, the man whose fall from grace still haunts the House of Windsor. His ties to Jeffrey Epstein, the leaked emails, and the chilling accounts from Virginia Giuffre have turned him from a prince into a symbol of royal disgrace. Now, with King Charles reportedly considering stripping him of the Duke of York title, the monarchy faces its ultimate test. Can removing one man's crown restore the honor of the entire dynasty? Or will it open the door to questions about Harry and Meghan's right to theirs? All of this shows that the British monarchy stands at a crossroads. On one side lies tradition, where dignity and titles were once untouchable. On the other, the digital age, where every story, every misstep is judged in real time. Between these worlds, each royal must learn to survive in an era where privacy has become a luxury and reputation a currency. The royal dramas we see are not just tales of privilege or scandal. They are a mirror reflecting the battle between image and truth, power and humanity. And perhaps that's why the world can't look away, not because of the scandals themselves, but because even those who wear crowns must face the same fragile human struggles as the rest of us. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more deep dives into the untold world of royalty. And tell us, who do you think is the most controversial figure in this story? Meghan, Harry, or Andrew? Thank you for joining me through these 35 minutes. Stay tuned because the royal curtain may close, but the stories behind it are only just beginning. Just beginning. Just beginning. Just beginning. Just beginning.